Welcome to the fourth and final episode of Poetry and Story Inspired by Landscape and Myth. My name is Monica Corish. This event is a fundraiser for Northwest Stop, which provides counselling support for people at risk of suicide, and you can make a donation through their website, northweststop.ie. The cycle of the year that began with the Dark of Samhain is crowned by the brightness of Lugh and by the harvest festival held in his name. As part of our Lugnasa workshop, we visited the Shannon Pot, the source of the Shannon River, rich in myth, and the Cavan Burn, an extraordinary landscape of weathered limestone and megalithic monuments. This, in my virtual background, is the Calf Dolmen at the Cavan Burn. These monuments were crafted by Ireland's first farmers who arrived here around 6,000 years ago with their cattle and sheep, their pots and their grain. We start tonight with a harvest story from Tom Sigafoos. This is followed by poems from Paula, Lahiff and Shane Leavy. Then we have an incantation, Heather Pobble, sung by Tara Mooney and Maggie Kilcoyne, a celebration of the joys of people coming together to eat and play. We finish with a poem from Dermot Lahiff, a second story from Tom Sigafoos, and a poem from me.
This piece is titled Harvest. Every autumn, when I was a boy, Uncle Billy invited our family to a corn roast at his farm in the Tea Hills. The hills got their name from sassafras, a wild, plentiful crop that gave flavor to root beer and sassafras tea. Uncle Billy and Aunt Grace's farm was 2 miles down the road from a farm owned by Uncle Vern and Aunt Zoe, but they didn't visit back and forth very much. Aunt Zoe was starchy and demanding. Visiting her felt like being inspected. Uncle Billy and Aunt Grace were easygoing, and the daffodils in her hillside garden spelled Ohio in the spring. For the corn roast, Uncle Billy built a bonfire at the edge of the lawn next to the cornfield fence. My sister and I were sent into the cornfield with peck baskets to search for large, well-developed ears of corn. In the autumn evening, it was dark between the corn rows and dusty and claustrophobic. Our sense of adventure waned as we moved farther from the bonfire. We pulled 2 or 3 ears off the tall corn stalks and hurried back toward the sound of adult conversation, bursting out of the cornfield with relief. "I told you they wouldn't go too far," Uncle Billy said. He took our corn baskets and dropped the ears into a tub of water. He lifted out 2 other ears that had been soaking for a while, and he used a pair of fireplace tongs to stuff the unshucked ears of corn into the coals of the bonfire. From a picnic table, we loaded paper plates with baked beans and Aunt Grace's potato salad. My father told Uncle Billy how much he missed living on a farm. Uncle Billy told him that we could come by any time, and if we came in the spring, we could hunt for wild morel mushrooms in the woods. Uncle Billy retrieved the 2 ears of corn from the bonfire and laid them on a platter, while all the grannies and aunts clucked and warned us not to touch them until they cooled off. Impatient, we pulled away the green husk leaves and the nearly invisible corn silk. Holding them by the stems that were still attached, we dipped them in the steaming ears into tubs of half-melted butter and ate them while they were still hot, dripping the butter onto our clothes and shoes. We heard more alarms and instructions from the grannies, but Aunt Grace said, "It'll come out in the wash." Years later, I worked with a truck driver named Okie, and he liked to stop at roadside vegetable stands to buy corn on the cob. He always asked the farm wives when the corn was picked, and he'd only buy the ears that had been picked that afternoon. "It ain't got the flavor if it ain't fresh," he said. I told him about Uncle Billy's corn roasts in the bonfire next to the field. "That's the way you want it," Okie said. "That's the way." Right there.
Hello, my name is Paula Lahiff, and I'm going to read you my poem, River Source. The source of the great river Shannon is in the Quilca Mountains in Leitrim. At Lugnasa, I experienced the wonders of new beginnings in this special place. River Source. At Lugnasa, I go to the Shannon Pot. The air crackles with anticipation, and I am on high alert. Passing showers feed up those late summer smells. Damp earth after rain, overripe berries fermenting. I can almost hear the ground groan as another wild mushroom pushes through the waiting soil. Mists roll and sway across the meadows. I follow the breeze to the river source down the path, and there it is, a soft, dark pool tickling the water's edge. Small gyres of spiral motion, music from 7 streams ripple to the surface. The air is tense with longing and adventure. Its echo carries through the valleys, bounces off the hills, gushes through the lakes, as the great River Shannon, saint and goddess, starts her journey to the sea.
Hi, I'm Shane Leavy. This poem was inspired by a visit last autumn to Pentre Ifan, a prehistoric megalith in the south of Wales. It's called the Megalith. On the sheep-cropped grass of Cardigan Bay, 2 ticking crickets snapped behind my head, while below the slow, swollen, briny waves sucked and plopped upon the pewter shore, and time seemed to stand and stand. 2 days before, I'd stood in dizzy thought at Pentre Ifan stone and solid gate, 5,500 winters worn. Then stepping through the blue stone dolmen door, sensed with pricking wonder life unseen, emerged to hawthorns bobbing red and golden green.
agus Padar Pobble, prayer for the people.
My name is Dermot Lahiff. I would like to read my poem, Thoughts-Filled Stroll. Striding out on trek unknown, where thoughts with thoughtful steps meander along this tranquil trail, where druids lit a Celtic fire, smoulders still with ancient light, on this Lugnasa I pray ignite the spirit of this wanderer, on Burns' turning, winding path, here pursued hope to past undo, as rucksack ever lighter grew, faltered not on steep incline, fortified by prospects new, from summits inspirational view, there in peace on Cavan's burn, I assessed things meaningful. This poem comes from the notion that walking soothes both mind and body and soul, particularly in peaceful countryside. There are few more tranquil settings than in the Cavan Leitrim countryside, where the past and present meet to bring brightness to the future. Thank you.
At the Lugnasa workshop, we visited the Shannon Pot, a pool that's fed by underground springs, and it serves as the source of the Shannon River. We also visited the Cavan Burren Visitors Center, and there I was fascinated by a large boulder that's shaped like a turtle. The boulder had to be thousands of years old, and I wondered who else might have taken an interest in it in those very old days. This piece is called The Quest. Mother, when can I go on a quest? His mother looked up from the hide that she was scraping. Silhouetted against the sun, her boy seemed to have grown almost as muscular as a man. She put down her church stone scraper and wiped her hands on the grass. You can go after another planting, she said, and another harvest. But all my friends are going now, and they aren't all as tall as me. But they were born before you. I'm not a child. I can hunt. His mother smiled. If you are a hunter, then bring me a turtle for our dinner. A turtle? Anyone can catch a turtle. Well, then it will be easy for you. And if you catch a turtle, then you can ask your father about going on a quest. The boy said, you treat me like a child. But he walked away in the direction of the pool. The water on the surface of the pool was never still. Circles of ripples rose and spread as though mountain streams were rising up from under the water. He stood for many heartbeats, wondering how this could be possible. If the streams rose up from holes in the ground, why did the pool water not run back down into the holes? He sat on a deeply cracked boulder at the side of the pool. The boulder was shaped like a turtle, with a head and neck sticking out of one end of a rounded body. There were no other boulders in sight. He lay down on the rough top of the stone as if he were lying on the turtle's back. He stretched out and looked up at the shifting cloud shapes that slid endlessly across the sky. One of the cloud shapes looked like a turtle, too. How had the turtle stone come to be there, he wondered. He had heard stories of people who had been turned to stone. Could that happen to animals as well? He had also heard stories of the huge animals that had roamed the world before the days of the ice. Had a huge turtle been turned to stone by some angry curse? Lying in the warmth of the sun god who roamed the sky, he realized what he could do. His clan respected the men who could bring food to the cooking fire. The more food they brought, the more respect they earned. And the greatest feasts were held when his father and the other men brought back a boar. They would eat for days. If he could bring back a boar, the boulder beneath him seemed to shift. He sat up and looked at it closely. It was a thing of stone and moss, but he felt that it had given him a sign. He would sharpen a spear, and then he would ask without asking where to find the boars in the forest. He knew they were large, dangerous creatures with tusks that were sharper than church stones, but he would learn how to hunt them. And when he dragged a fresh-killed boar back to the camp, they would surely allow him to go on a vision quest. The air grew cool as the sun sank from the sky. He told himself that he would sharpen his spear and ask his questions tomorrow. Wearily, he lowered himself into the pool and began groping in the mud at the bottom, searching for a deep spot where a turtle might hide.
The plot of the Tombo Cualann is well known. Queen Maeve is jealous of her husband Ailill. Her wealth equals his in every way except one. He owns a fertile, white-horned bull called Finnbhennach. Wanting to even the score between them, Maeve sets out on a reckless, bloodthirsty cattle raid into Ulster to steal the brown bull of Cooley. This is the tale that we know, but there is a forgotten detail, hidden, buried in a preamble to the Táin that hints at the true origins of the story. This poem is called Maeve's Version. I didn't start that battle. Well, I did, but not the way you think I did, and it was never about the bulls. You know how it is in a marriage. The reason you're fighting is never the reason you're fighting. Ailill knew that in marrying me, he had married the earth, the curve of my mountains, my rivers and spate, my honey-drunk bees sucking life. And he knew, everyone knew, that all his power came through me. Maeve, goddess and queen, bestower of sovereignty. We started well. With the crow of a cock and the strength of a bull, he gave me all I wanted. A comrade at my side, laughter, pleasure, babies, handsome sons, splendid daughters. But then, I don't know. Maybe it all went to his head. He got cocky in a new way. He started strutting, chest out, thumping, urging the men to say, no, I will not be led by a woman. All the young cocks and all the young bulls shouting, no, 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 we will not be led by a woman. It didn't take long before Finnbhennach heard. My fertile, white-horned bull, sire to half the calves of Ireland, he pawed the ground and snorted, no, I will not be led by a woman. I watched as my Finnbhennach, left my herd and bowed his lovely white-horned head to Ailill. I went to war over it. I'm not saying I'm innocent. I'm not saying I didn't spill blood and plenty of it. I'm only saying my cause was life. I didn't win. He thinks he did, but he's wrong, and the whole earth knows it. The weeping ice, the dying honeybee, the lonesome ground. All this trouble, born of a question that should never have been asked. Will the earth rule herself, or will the earth be ruled? So, here I am, standing upright in my cairn on my mountaintop, eternally ready for battle. Another cock and bull story. I am Maeve. I am honey and mead. I am my intoxicating honey-drenched thighs, and I'm waiting. Oh, women of Ireland, rouse and body me back to life. Oh, men of fierce and tender heart, remember me. I am the earth, eternally ready for love. I'm here, and I'm waiting. Any time now would be good. We want to thank you for accompanying us on our journey through the landscapes and myths of the northwest of Ireland. A final reminder, if you would like to make a donation to Northwest Stop, you can do so through their website, northweststop.ie. Again, we offer our heartfelt thanks to Brendan Murray, Artistic Director of the Glens, for his enthusiastic support for this project from inception to completion, and to Cormac Carroll and Jonas Dello for technical support. To each and every one of you, we say, Slán agus Beannacht.
Ocean FM.
Hey, Artsol.
Past midnight.
To leave the ever
They were all after me on
Lord,
account
you
of what
found
I'd
this
done
surly
to Mrs.
system.
Nugent.
Join us every Thursday at 9:30 p.m. on Ocean FM for Arts Northwest.
Produced and presented by the Glens Arts Centre, Manorhamilton.
Repeats on Sundays 8 p.m. and podcast on all platforms.
Supported by Pobble, the Arts Council and Leitrim County Council.
The arts, me, yeah.